2009 was a year of political, diplomatic, and economic change in Israel and abroad. As the first decade of the millennium comes to a close and 2010 kicks off, IBA's Michelle Kaplan brings us the year in review, taking a look at the top stories that made news this past year.
2009 kicked off with the continuation of Operation Cast Lead. During the 22-day war in Gaza, 9 IDF soldiers were killed, and 1 additional soldier died after the ceasefire. Israel was criticized worldwide over the large number of Palestinian deaths, though the actual number was disputed, and the judgments continued throughout the year, including through the UN Goldstone report. Because of Cast Lead, 7 years of unrelenting rocket fire aimed at Israeli cities in the south has ceased almost completely. Yes, we can, and yes, he did. Thousands traveled to Washington, D.C. from all over the U.S. to watch history in the making, as Barack Obama became the first African-American to be inaugurated as the President of the United States. Obama raised hackles in Israel by developing a tough stance on settlements, but later modified his demands. Here, back at home, Benjamin Netanyahu beat Tzipi Livni to become prime minister, even though Kadima won the highest number of Knesset seats, 28. Netanyahu won the election at a critical time for Israel, confronted with such hot-button issues as Iran, Gilad Shalit, and building in the settlements. Terrorist attacks dramatically dropped this year, but in March, a bulldozer driver in downtown Jerusalem hit a bus and demolished a police car before he was fatally shot by police and a taxi driver. In New York, Bernie Madoff pleaded guilty to the Ponzi scheme, where he stole millions of dollars from his clients. This came at a terrible time as the U.S. and the world was trying to recover from the global recession that left people throughout the world in a panic over the economy. This was a year where Israel's faith in their political leaders was challenged. Former Israeli President Moshe Katsav was charged with rape and other sexual offenses. He was indicted in a court in Tel Aviv. In August, Ehud Olmert became the first Israeli former prime minister to be indicted in the court of law on charges of corruption. Olmert continues to deny committing any dishonest acts. April saw the UN Durban Review Conference in Geneva, where the main topic was racism. Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad seized the opportunity on the world stage to revile Israel, causing multiple delegates to walk out in protest. The world saw the first cases of swine flu that month as it first broke out in Mexico and started a global pandemic. Tel Aviv celebrated its 100th birthday during that month. There were many festivities to honor the founding of the first Hebrew city. Moving to Cairo, U.S. President Obama delivered a speech with the aim of reaching out to the Muslim world. Many Jews were outraged because they felt as though Obama had compared the plight of the Palestinian people to the Holocaust. The presidential election in Iran in June sparked an uprising in Tehran as Ahmadinejad beat out reformist candidate Mir Hossein Mousavi. The results were highly disputed, and the Iranian people protested in the streets, only to be brutally attacked, imprisoned, and killed by their own government. In a speech made at Bar-Ilan University on June 14th, Benjamin Netanyahu officially announced that he was in favor of 2 states for 2 peoples. Later in the year, Barack Obama was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, a decision that was shocking to many. There were mixed reactions to the U.S. president's win all over the world. In Israel, there was cause for celebration as Ada Yonat became the 9th Israeli to win a Nobel Prize and the first Israeli woman. The award was for her achievements in chemistry. In late November, Prime Minister Netanyahu made a tough decision about settlements and announced a 10-month construction freeze. Because of this, outraged settlers felt betrayed by the Prime Minister and tried blocking inspectors, in some cases violently. Toward the end of the year, U.S. President Barack Obama announced that he would be sending 30,000 U.S. troops to Afghanistan. Also this month, the COP15 conference began in Copenhagen in an unsuccessful attempt to put an end to global warming by cutting emissions. Gilad Shalit remained one of the most important news stories in Israel this year. Currently, indirect negotiations are still taking place between Israel and the Hamas terrorist group. The public continues to debate whether hundreds of Palestinian murderers should be released to bring Shalit home. In one of the last diplomatic developments of 2009, there have been signs over the past few days that peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians will resume early in the new year. On a different note, the king of pop's life came to a screeching halt as Michael Jackson was pronounced dead in one of the most shocking entertainment stories of the year. In sports news, in October, Omri Caspi became the pride of Israel as he became the first Israeli ever to play in the NBA. He is currently a player for the Sacramento Kings. That rounds off the main news stories from 2009. The decade has come to a close. Here's to a good 2010. This is Michelle Kaplan for IBA News.
With the